Look at you, stuck in the web of procrastination and lacking discipline. It's time to admit that you've been avoiding responsibilities and it's holding you back. Stop sugarcoating your failures with these flimsy excuses. You know very well that laziness and distractions have been ruling your life. You've become complacent with mediocrity, choosing comfort over growth. Well, guess what? Real change demands discomfort, and you must embrace it. Recognize your lack of discipline has cost you precious opportunities. The time wasted cannot be recovered, but you can make amends starting right now. Deep down, you know you have untapped potential. It's time to unleash it and stop hiding behind your procrastination as an excuse. Procrastination is often the result of fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. It's time to confront these fears and break free. Sure, discipline might seem like a foreign concept to you right now, but it takes time to face the music and make discipline your new best friend. You've been avoiding accountability, but it's time to take responsibility for your actions. Hold yourself accountable for your progress, or the lack thereof. Feel the weight of regret for all the time wasted and opportunities missed. Let it fuel your determination to change and make the most of every moment moving forward. Change won't happen overnight, and it won't be easy, but you're not looking for easy. You are looking for growth. Embrace the process, and you'll come out stronger. Oh, look at you, drowning in the sea of indecision and inaction. Your inability to make choices or stick to a plan is pathetic. Stop trying to cover up your laziness with those pathetic excuses. Nobody buys them, not even yourself. Just think about all the potential you've wasted by wallowing in your lack of discipline. It's truly, truly sickening. You're nothing more than a slave to comfort and instant gratification. You can't even withstand the slightest bit of discomfort to achieve your goals. Your willpower is laughable, and your mind is even weaker. It's time to toughen up, Buttercup, and take control. While you're busy procrastinating, the world just keeps moving forward. Your lack of discipline is causing you to fall way behind. You've become a master of self-sabotage, always finding ways to hinder your progress. It's time to break free from this vicious cycle. Congratulations, you've built a cozy nest in the land of mediocrity. How does it feel to be just average? Or maybe below average? Way below average. You don't need coddling. You need a reality check. Stop babying yourself and face the truth. You are weak. Enough is enough. Rise from the ashes of your weaknesses and become the disciplined, proactive force you know that you can be. Or don't, and stay exactly as you are.
Shoot, Ray. What do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
It's time!
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is Tech Coach Ralph, and we are on a Tuesday night. Today is Tuesday, August 29th, 2013. We have a Q&A session tonight where I will answer any questions that you have in the chat, or I also have questions that you maybe don't even know that you have yet that I have sourced around the web. All right. And already we have Don Johnson in the chat with a print statement saying, hello. Hello, Don. How is it going? It is great to interact with you these past few days. And I'm sure we will be talking a lot more tonight. So great to have you here. And let's get going. All right. So let's get into our agenda for today. All right. So first things first, as always, thank you to all of the new subscribers to the channel. I appreciate you all.
I appreciate you. We the best.
Thank you all for subscribing. Thank you for being here. It is very much appreciated. All right. Next up is what is our live show schedule. We have our Sunday afternoons. Let me move this over here so I can look here. All right, cool. So we have our Sunday afternoons where we have software explorations. However, this is a pre-announcement, right? On Sundays, we will be shifting topics as soon as we get through our Playwright series that we're going through, like getting Playwright to work, exploring that. We are going to be shifting topics to be announced. All right. I know what it is, but I will let you know in the near future. So keep an eye out for that. But trust me, it will be well worth it, especially if you are looking for different avenues that you can get into inside of the tech field. It, trust me, it's going to be good. I've had my heart set on learning this for a very long time, and we will be able to learn together. All right. So perfect. Look out for that. All right. And then we have Tuesday nights, which is tonight. We have our Q&A session. So we are going to be answering questions from the chat. We're going to be answering questions that I've sourced across the web about QA, but it continues to expand. All right. And then we have Thursday nights, which is more software explorations. We will continue to focus on QA on our Thursday nights while we shift gears a little bit on our Sunday afternoons. And that's why this channel is called Tech Coach Ralph, and it is not QA with Ralph, because we do more than QA. We try to learn everything because that makes us more and more powerful, more weapons to add to our arsenal. All right. So, okay. So again, Sunday afternoons, software explorations, Tuesday nights, Q&A sessions, Thursday nights, more software explorations. All right. And now we move on to our pre-recorded content schedule. All times are at noon. We have Mondays, Candid Conversations. The past one on Monday was really, really good, if I must say so myself. Wednesdays, we have software exploration, concept and overviews. Tomorrow, we will be talking about non-functional testing. And we'll ask the question, which is more important, functional testing or non-functional testing? That is a good mystery. All right. And we have Fridays, the Bug Bite. And this Friday's Bug Bite is going to be pretty fun because it covers a global pandemic that happened in 2005. 5. Oh, I bet you never heard of that one, right? Well, get ready to find out on Friday's episode of The Bug Bite, hosted by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph. All right, perfect. So once again, Mondays, candid conversations. Wednesdays, software exploration, concept and overviews. And Fridays, The Bug Bite. And then throughout the week, we have little clips of the Q&A show that I cut up and release, because sometimes you just you can't bear me for a whole 2.5 hours, and you just want little bite-sized pieces. All right, so look out for that throughout the week as well. Okay, and another announcement, actually. What is this announcement? So, throughout my 20 years in tech, 15 years in QA, all managers and higher level people that I've encountered, and developers and, all types of people, they've always said, I wish I could just clone you, because the way that you work and how you figure things out and how creative you are, like all that stuff, right? Like we just wish you could clone you. Wish you could create another one of you. So what am I going to do? I am going to clone myself. What do I mean by that? So what I mean is I am putting together a group of people who want to learn from me, how I work and how I've been able to continue to learn, continue to build, like be very flexible, be very fluid, but at the same time, be a savage and be a barbarian in the industry that I just keep pushing and pushing, and I don't believe in failure, right? And we just try and try again. Like talking about failure, right? Listening to a David Goggins podcast today, or he was on a podcast, and he said something about failure where he's at the point that like he came to realize that he doesn't fail. It's just the first attempt, the second attempt, the third attempt. And that resonated with me because I don't believe in failure. I believe in failing forward, but I don't believe in failure, because to me, failure is when you just like when you fall down and you just quit and you walk away, you take your ball and go home. Right? We don't do that. Right? So with that being said, I'm building out a group of people who are also engineered to win, who are dedicated to winning, and I will work with them closely so that they can accomplish everything that they want and be a savage in the industry of any field of their choice. It doesn't necessarily have to be, it'll be tech, but it doesn't have to be like QA or anything like that. Because I've learned many different things since I've been in the industry, and I've used them to my advantage to make my the company that I work for, the team that I work on, to make them more efficient, to make them better. Right? So that's what I'm going to be building. I am going to be cloning myself. I'm going to be creating savages and barbarians in the industry. They're probably the nicest people that you'd ever meet, but they're serious about their work, and they have goals, and I'm going to see that they accomplish their goals. They're going to do more than accomplish their goals. They're going to crush it. All right. So that is the clones that I'm creating, and that's why I'm going to be focused a lot on them. Pretty much outside of the content that I release here, I'm going to be dedicating my time to their success. All right. So that's that. That is that. So I think that is awesome information. And on Friday, there will be the official announcement about it. But, for just giving a sneak preview of what is to come, because they asked for it and that's what they get. All right, cool. Next thing up, in case you haven't done so already, like the video, share the video with somebody you think will find it useful, and of course, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you can know when Tech Goat Coach Ralph goes live. All right. Now, before we get into our questions, never mind. We can get to our questions. All right. So let's see here. All right. So this is how it's going to go. We're going to put 5 minutes up on the clock. All right. Let's put the timer up. 5 minutes up on the clock. And well, before we do that, let's address the chat real quick. I do not want to neglect my people here. All right. We have Good Guy is in the chat. What's up, Good Guy? He is using Java, but it wouldn't compile because his capitalization is a little off. But maybe he's using like a variation of Java. I don't know. Maybe Kotlin or something like that. He says, "Hello world. Hello to you, Good Guy." And all right, so Good Guy is following Don, and Don is following Good Guy back. Shout out to that. Look at that collaboration already. All right, so we have a first question already. Okay. And I think I know where this question is coming from. So let me go to our question sound, and then I'll pull it up on the screen, and we will go from there. Okay, so
Another one.
all right, so Don says, when should you use contract testing over UI tests, or are both required? All right, so that is a great question. I will just leave it up there as I answer it. So, when you say contract testing, I'm taking it as like more on the API level, business, like business logic level, right? Wherever that comes from. But I would say that in the testing pyramid, right? The contract testing, which to me, I think we can like, I don't normally use the term contract testing, but I'm going to include that like going from the unit testing, which tests like the code, but also some sort of the business logic, all the way up to, I'd go to the API testing, right? And I'd say you use that as much as you can. Like the UI test, those should be very used sparingly. I know, and even I've had to do it in the past where it's like everything depended on the UI test. But it's really because they're so flaky that they'll fail, and you'll be running with like a chicken with your head cut off, trying to fix them every single day. The UI test that you should not be using, you should not be like your main source, right? The testing pyramid goes like starting from unit test, and then your integration component testing, and then your API testing, and then you have your UI test. And so like with a pyramid, right? So it just goes like a lot of like the most tests that you have is going to be your unit test, right? And usually that's from the developers. But interestingly, I had a conversation today in my one-on-one, and I asked my manager like, is there anything here that's holding back QAs from actually writing unit tests and contributing to it? Because if the test coverage is low, and like if you know how to do it, could we just contribute to increasing our test coverage, right? And that way it brings some of the tests closer to the code. The way that I answered it similarly the other day was the closer to the code you are, the more tests that you want, right? And then as you get further and further away from the code, then that's when your tests start to become less and less, because the further you get away, the flakier they're going to get. Which like leads to manual testing, where those should be like, it's just not going to be that much, right? And it shouldn't be. It is going to be the manual testing like the first time you're actually working on it, but you shouldn't be like testing the same exact thing over and over and over and over again. Like on my team, we have. Let me see. We have the API test. We have the unit tests, and there's like 1,200 unit tests. For like one of the applications we work on, it's like 1,200 unit tests. About 70 API tests. We have some other type of tests that test some other, like it's they're not UI tests, but they use Docker and all that type of stuff, right? And we have about 75 of those. And then we have some UI tests, right? And the UI test that we have is not that much. So I would say try, like you have to get as much of the business logic, the API logic, because that's the most important part. So the most important part, you want it to be functional, right? Like you always want to make sure that that's functional. And oh, look at that. You can put the clock, but we're almost done. So you want it to be like you always want to verify the functionality of that, and the business logic is the thing that's most important. Now on the UI, if there's something that is some cosmetic issue, like you don't want that, but it's not as critical as if you can't finish the whole process. Now you do want to have some end-to-end tests using the UI because you want to make sure like the most critical flows that the user is able to actually get through, right? So somebody that I'm working closely with to help them ramp up their skills in QA, which they're actually very good, but just keep working on them, coaching them so they can get to that final destination. I asked them like, all right, so go to this website, major website, and I said like, what are the scenarios that you would automate or yeah, what are the scenarios that you would automate? And then I had them like tell me like, okay, I would do like the users not like checking out as a user that's not logged in, checking out as a user that is logged in, checking out as a new user, and creating an account, making sure you can log in. Those are like the most critical scenarios. I'm like, all right, yeah, exactly, that's perfect. But I would have those automated and those would run daily, just to make sure that that's working. But every single like scenario, it shouldn't be handled by the UI. If every single scenario is handled by the UI, then there is something wrong in the design process. So that's how I see it. Let me know what you think, Don. Let me know what you think, good guy. If you agree, if you would add anything, if you'd remove anything. But that's just how I've worked through it for the past few years. I remember like at one company, when we were building this new application, I had about 1,000 unit tests, or not unit tests, 1,000 API tests that it took about like 10 minutes to run. But they ran like every single so they had the positive scenarios, and they ran like every single negative scenario that I could think of, like through the API, so that we could know like once the UI was connected to it, that it would still return an error. Now it was up to the front end team to make sure that they would properly handle the errors and stuff like that. But that should, if your developers write proper unit tests, right, that should be caught through the unit test, and you shouldn't necessarily have to do UI tests for all of that, right? All right, so we have, Don was talking about API tests. That's what I figured. And good guy says, quite opposite in our company. I would like to hear how it works in your company, good guy. And do you think that your company is doing it the wrong way, or that they like the reason that they're doing it that way is because they can't do it another way? Let me know, and we'll talk about it. All right, and Don says, I love permutation testing, fuzzing at the API layer. Sometimes you can find it really hard to find race condition cases. I write UI tests that will keep the light on for the company. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, and business. So good guy says business process follows mostly as manual tester would perform, either web, terminal, or mobile emulation. So you're saying that So you're saying that like the process is having a manual tester do most of the work? Let me know. But yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, we'll probably talk about that sometime because I would love to hear more about how that works. But let's get to a pre question or a question that I already sourced, and we will get to that. So shout out to Don, shout out to Good Guy for being active in the chat. All right, let me pull up a question and we will get to it. All right, so the first question was, all right, so let's do it.
Another one.
So let's do that one more time before I clip this.
Another one.
All right, so the question was, which someone asked this question on a Discord. They said, "What is a test automation framework and its purpose?" So the way that I answered this question, I think a lot of times, especially when you're new or when you just maybe just know how to use it, but you don't really know the details about it, people can easily confuse the page object model with the with a framework, right? The page object model is not a framework. It's more of it's a style. It's a model, right? So here's what the framework is, and this is how I broke it down, right? And let me know what you guys think in the chat. The framework is, to me, something that can be reused across projects, right? Across, because I mean, you can only have one project and use it and use that with, but to me, it should be flexible enough that it doesn't require any particular, it's not tightly coupled to a particular project. So what do I mean by that? It's not tightly coupled, right? So the way that it would be is that framework, you should be able to import it as a library or as a package into any into any automation project that you're using, right? So let's say we'll use this example, right? So let's say you need to automate Abercrombie, right? Or you need to automate Delta, whatever the industry is, like some bank site, right? Whatever the industry is, you should be able to have that same test automation framework to be used across all three of those projects. There shouldn't be anything specific to one of those sites in your framework. So what would that include? And you know what? I need to put the time up. Hold on. Because you guys are not going to have me answering these questions all night long. All right. So let's do it. So yeah, what I was saying is, so when it comes to the automation framework, right? That's going to include how you set up your drivers, right? And what the drivers are. So the drivers are the browsers. Like essentially, they're the browsers, right? What controls the browsers? So in a solid test automation framework, you would have where you can say, okay, which browser I want the test to run in. So you can have it for Chrome, Firefox. I guess they still have Internet Explorer that it can run in, but most likely you're going to be using Edge. You can do it in, I believe you can do it in Safari on the Mac. That one's a little tricky sometimes, but I believe you can do it in Safari. And then they have Opera and stuff like that. Browsers, like that many people don't use Opera. They also have where you can do it in what is that? Chromium, right? Like Chrome is built on top of Chromium, so you can do it in all of those. But in the framework, you want to be able to specify. Okay, you set it up so that you can choose which browser that the tests are going to run on, right? So that's one part of the framework, right? And then you should also be able to configure it so that your tests run parallel, right? Which, give me a second to go on a little tangent right now, a little rant. I remember an interview that I had where I was interview that I had back in January, where one of the contractors were brought on. I made a video about this, right? And I said that I was working on a framework in Java so that I can have the tests run in parallel and have the driver, like you don't have to declare the driver in every single test that you create. And he was like, all right, be respectful. He was like, how do you expect to make that work, right? Like I couldn't do it. And I was like, well, I'm still working on it, but I'm gonna figure it out. But yeah, he didn't believe me. I didn't get the position. But on the bright side, later that night, I figured it out, and so I got the test running in parallel, right? Through using whichever browser it wanted, and it wasn't having that that conflicting browser issue that like a lot of people end up having, and the reason they have to do their parallel tests differently. I got mine fully optimized and running well, and then I got a job at a better company anyway. So, but yeah, so yeah, let me get back on point. But I told you, I don't lose. I'm a savage, all right? So, yeah. Anyways, back to the framework. So you want it to be able to run in parallel. So part of the framework, you're going to include the library that handles the tests and stuff. So if it's Java, usually that's going to be TestNG to handle that. So you have TestNG in the framework, so it can handle like your test, your TestNG handles your test, like being able to execute them, all that, like the XML file. You also want to have like the parameterized things in your test framework, right? So that way you can start up your test saying, all right, I want this test to run in this browser, I want this series of tests to run in that browser, all that stuff, right? In addition, now in your framework, you also want your reporting in the framework, right? And I haven't even touched on the actual functionality of how you're going to be tested. Right now, I'm just talking about everything on the outside of the framework that empowers it to be able to run and to work across projects. You can just import it and all that type of stuff, right? What's next? So now when we get into Selenium part of it, right? So the framework does not include like the page object model. That the page object model part, you do that as part of the project because there's going to be different pages. Like with the pages that are on Delta aren't going to be on Southwest, aren't going to be on American Airlines. They're not going to be on Abercrombie. They're not going to be on ASOS. So the page object model that goes as part of the actual project that you're working on, right? So the site that you're working on. So, but what you do want to have, you want to have simplified methods for whatever it is that you're doing. But let's say we're talking about Selenium in this case. You want to have simplified methods, right? So what do I mean by simplified methods? What I would do is I would say, all right, I would take all the main methods of that Selenium offers, like click, what do they say? I forgot what it is for Java, but for I think it's input or something like that for Java, but I forgot. I don't normally remember the syntaxes, right? But I would say like where you type in certain keys and stuff like that, characters. So you take all of those methods, right? And then you make them easier. So you're saying web element dot click, and you say like click on element or click, and then you just pass the web element to it. You pass your, like if you're passing any text to it, that gets logged to a logging or to the console, whatever it is, right? So I have a method for click, right? And then I say, all right, when I call this method for click, it passes the web element, and then it's gonna log this text to the console. It'll do the WebDriver waiting for it to become clickable. Anything that I need to do, I just have a simple method that does all of that, and then you just pass it in, and it takes care of that, right? I do the same thing for like the for like filling out text. For instance, I'll do a method that'll have clear the text and then to type in the text, right? And whatever other methods that there are, right? So it takes care of all of that. And all I have to do is pass in the web element. And now when I'm doing the actual automation in the project, then I'll say to when I call click, then everything is taken care of. I don't have to write a bunch of code because I like in the project the test to look as clean as possible. You should just be able to read it line by line by line, and you know exactly what it's doing, right? Anything else I'm missing in the framework? So I got the reporting, I got the driver setup thing, the parallel running. Oh yeah, API tests. You want it to also be set up to be able to do API, like to run API tests. So something that I would do, I would have one class for my web actions that would take care of what I just spoke about, the clicks. Have another class for my API actions where I can do my post, I can do my posts, I can do my gets, I can do my puts, my patches, my deletes, all that stuff, right? So now in one actual test, right? In one test, I can do an API to stage data. I can do web tests to navigate through the site so the data is already there. And so it makes it very optimal. And then I can use that across any project that I'm working on. If I'm working with other QAs and I create the framework, they can pull in that framework into their project, and it just makes it so much easier for them to automate instead of having to like do everything over. And it, like if I push an update, they just have to update their version, and then they have all those updates, and life is gold. All right. So that is what, in my point of view, a test automation framework is and what it is used for. All right. So before I end the question, I am going to get some feedback because I saw some things piling in, and we work with our teammates. All right. So Don says, page object model equals a design pattern. Yes, that's what it is. Me and terminology, yeah, it's terrible. All right. So let's see. All right. Cool. And Don says, do you think job titles in the industry have become less accurate? I've met engineers who don't code. Previously, they'd be called analysts. We used to earn the engineering title. Yeah, I agree. I agree because like nowadays, like everything has some type of engineering at the end of it. When I first got like, because I was a QA analyst, and then when I started doing automation, my boss was like, "Well, we need a title for you." And we were looking, and we found like automation engineer, and I was like, "Are we engineers?" And like now that I come think about it, like recently, I was like, "Well, we are creating stuff, but I do see your point. Like people who don't code, who it's weird. Give me let me because I had looked this up the other day, right? And I'm just curious to see what it said again. So it says an engineer is a person who designs, builds, or maintains engines, machines, or public works. But I think that's a little. All right. So here's another definition, right? Engineers, as practitioners of engineering, are professionals who invent, design, analyze, build, and test machines, complex systems, structures, gadgets, and materials to fulfill functional objectives and requirements while considering the limitations imposed by practicality, regulations, safety, and cost. So with that definition, right, that makes me, I don't know. It's because some people will say like, oh, if you don't have an engineering degree, you're not an engineer. But I mean, there's plenty of people who do have engineering degrees who don't work as engineers. So does that also make them not engineers? I think if you innovate, if you create, if you if you do all that, like then that does make you an engineer. But regardless, like I said, like I said, Don, I get rambling sometimes. So let's see. PieTest.mark.parameterize equals written thousands of tests in less than 20 lines of code for what it's worth. That's interesting. I have to look into that. So yeah, the framework that I was working on, it was in Java using Selenium and all that good stuff. But yeah, like I haven't like dived too much into PyTest because like the company that I work for, they already had their framework in place, and they actually use Behave, right? So let me know if you're familiar with Behave, but they actually use Behave using gherkins and all that stuff. I was kind of like not sure about gherkins a while ago, but it's really growing on me, like the way I'm able to optimize with it. So I'm actually kind of liking it a lot, right? Let's see. So, but I think we are good on the test automation framework question. So, all right. So let's get to another question, and this one is actually a good one, right? I just threw in that automation framework in because someone had asked about it, and I answered them, but I wanted to give in case anybody else was wondering, give a better comprehensive answer to it. So that's that. Let me pull up the questions. Oh wait, before we go, let me get Manny. What's up, Manny? Thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here. And I'll give you one of these.
I appreciate you.
All right. Manny says, if you create and understand what's going on under the hood, you are an engineer. In my opinion, it's other factors as well, but it's been engineers that I work with. They are very book smart, but missing other things. The thoughts expressed are of Manny and Manny alone. I will not say if I agree with him or not, but I probably do. Oops. Never mind. Oh, okay. Let's move on, Manny. I don't want you to get me in trouble, all right? Thank you for being here, Manny, once again. All right. Let's move on. All right. Let's go to the next question. Yeah, this one is a good one, right? Because I'm curious if anybody else has felt this. All right, so okay, let's go.
Another one.
So the title is How to Get Over Feeling Low About Being a QA/SDET, Software Development Engineer in Test. There is saying, I didn't choose testing. Testing chose me. I have 2 years experience as an SDET/QA, and I feel bad for being an SDET/QA. Although I did automation, performance test, and bit of DevOps, I am feeling like I am very less when compared to developers. It's not about money alone, it's about respect. RESPECT. And interesting work. The constant disrespect and treatment of QA/SDET in software community is making me feel bad. I think that because at the end of the day, SDET/QA are going to test already written code. SDET also don't create. They work on existing code and automate the existing feature. I think that why maybe testing is not considered very lucrative, that's why people would prefer software engineering, data analytics, data engineering, or even product management because they're creating something new. Devs are developing a product, DevOps are creating pipelines and infrastructure, product owners are framing product, but I feel SDET/QA are doing something on the product. There is nothing new. I'm trying to get teary-eyed for a second here. The career path for QA is also not as good as developers. Developers can become tech architects, principals, and engineering heads. But what's for QA? I don't know. What is for QA? I think very few have QA director kind of role. You have to switch to BA, product owner, manager, while devs can continue in the same career. Whenever there is cost cutting, QAs are easily the target because quality is subjective. Well, that's probably the first thing you said that's true. Sorry. I take that back. That was Manny who said it. All right. Anyways, they can make devs and BAs do that. It may or may not be effective, but still, somebody can do it. I feel constantly unmotivated. I feel even I found a bug, it doesn't really have value because the devs are the one who's going to fix it. It's a thankless job whenever bugs come. QA would be called. Other times you just have to fight every time to get recognition. This is just my rant, and I have been feeling very unmotivated. This is just my rant, and I have been feeling very unmotivated and frustrated. So, what do you think about that? Huh? So I'm going to give my thoughts, but I'm going to ask the question first. For all those who have done QA in, for their career for past however long it is, do you agree with the sentiment? Do you believe that you are unappreciated, that they see you as worthless, easily replaceable, etc., etc., etc.? All right, let's put our 5 minutes up. So, that's interesting that you would feel that way because, like I just said, like I just said a little earlier, they keep asking me for a clone. So, I don't know. And the thing about the QAs always being the first to go, I don't really think that's true unless you have oversaturated amount of QA. Like maybe I don't know, maybe like I would see like the manual QA testers always be the first to go, but I think that before the explosion of boot camps, of course, but I think that the field for the SDETs and the QA engineers, that's hard, right? Like it's hard to come across good ones. Like you can definitely find people who know how to do it, but what I see happening the most is the lack of critical thinking. I think that you guys, let me know if you disagree with this, right? Do you think that this is like a software engineer or full stack developer reject? Like the way that this person sounds, like that they get absolutely no recognition, all this type of stuff. It's like they really, 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 really wanted to be a web engineer or not web engineer, like a web developer or a software developer, and like they couldn't, and now they feel like their only option to be close to software is QA. But like for me, like I love doing what I do, and as part of so it's funny because what I do, I do QA, of course, right? But I also do more. Like I'll set up infrastructure for testing, for reporting, right? To make the test like run better and set up environments. And I remember at one job, if you guys are familiar with Rancher, I was like setting up the whole testing infrastructure where it'll run on different branches and all that type of stuff, and giving like showing the developers how to actually run the test on their local branch, how to run the test in Rancher. And then once they could verify that the regression tests are running before they kick the test off over to us, right? They verify that, and then they send it to us for us to actually test the new features, right? And then once we finish testing the new features, we run the regression test again, and like that. So I just don't see. I think either that, and plus, like, you're only 2 years into it. Like, how do you feel that way within 2 years into it? That, I don't know. That's weird to me. But maybe you never wanted to do it in the first place. The way that it sounds, like you never really wanted to do it, and you just find yourself like you said, testing found you. I mean, I'll say this: I didn't really know much about QA. Like, I think everybody does QA, but I didn't really know much about it before I actually got my QA analyst position. But then once I was offered to do automation, oh, I owned it, right? I learned how to do so many different things, and I just owned it. Like, and I built out a team. And at that time, right, I wasn't even that well versed in Java. But I learned it and all that type of stuff. So I don't, I don't see that QA is unappreciated, right? Like, I'll tell you this: at the company that I work for, there is a huge QA presence, like massive QA presence. And part of the requirements is that pretty much all QAs need to know some level of automation, right? It is a automation focused company with a very well respectful of QA. The way that I always describe QA is as being the last line of defense, right? Does that mean that some bugs don't slip through? Of course, like, there's always going to be bugs. There's bugs that you catch and that you know about that they might be in production that you need to fix. And there's bugs that are in production that you don't know about, right? But it might not be critical because customers can't get to it, but the bugs still exist and it could come and bite you one day, right? But just the idea of that QA is unappreciative. You know what? When they get rid of all the QAs and then there starts to be like massive bugs left and right, then you'll see that that they are appreciated. They are they're an essential part of the web design process. Unless, right, you're probably doing unless you're doing the waterfall method, then yeah, I would agree. Like, in the waterfall method, like, probably QA is not appreciated. They're just like, all right, we did all the work, now tested, and that whole cycle. I'm not a fan of the waterfall. But in Agile, if you believe that you are not appreciated as a QA, that is your own fault, because you have the opportunity to be actively involved in the outcome of the software, sharing your insight from a user perspective, from acceptance criteria perspective, all of that stuff. So if you are not involved, that is surely your own fault. All right. Let's see what my friends think about this as well. All right. So shout out to that. And if I was a little bit harsh on the answer, so be it. All right. So let's go back up and come back to that question. I'll come back to that one. And let's see. So Don says, well, if you find showstoppers, that could be the cost of that. That could be the cost of the company. It costs the company millions to fix. It feels real good. It sure does. You know, like, so many times we find these bugs that like, if you were to deploy, it would be bad, right? So, and like, sometimes it happens too, but you're able to roll back and stuff like that. But it's crazy. All right. So let me see. It says startups with generic CRUD apps, maybe, but mission critical projects, QA is respected and required. 100%. 100%. Like, totally required. The individual sounds like it's something they aren't passionate about. Exactly, Manny. Like that's what I see from it too. Like they don't like, when you're not passionate about it, then it's gonna be like, yeah, but like you said, um, if you're passionate about your craft, then you're going to own it. You're going to own it, and you're going to like, it's not about, so everything, like every work, like everything that I've ever done, right? I didn't do it for somebody else. Like the way that I worked, it wasn't for somebody else. It wasn't for like somebody to appreciate me or whatever. I did it for myself, like because of the quality that I want to produce. You know what I mean? It's not about like, oh, am I gonna get employee of the month? Like, wait, don't get me wrong. I have gotten employee of the month once or twice. But for me, that's not why I do it. It's just well, just to add as well, a not so humble brag. I'm like at when I was at like 4 to 5 months at my company, I came in as a runner up for their QA award. So, but anyways, to continue. Oh, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have. It's okay. It's okay. No pictures. No pictures. But like I don't do it for none of that, right? I do it because that's just the way that I work. I like to see I just put my all into it. And what I always say, right? If you've been following me, my goal and what your goal should also be is to just add value, right? Add value, fill in the gaps where you see a gap, and then the value is going to be returned to you, right? One way or the other, it's going to be returned to you. All right. Let's see. And thank you, Manny. QA is so important and needed. And Don says QA saves users and the company. Exactly. Saves the users money, saves the company money, all of the above. All right, all right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so let's finish that question and I'll read the other comments. All right. There was one comment I was looking for, but we will get to that one later then. Oh, there we go. So Don says, BDD, yeah, Gherkins is cool. We use Gherkins in our story description at work. It gives a clear understanding of the use case. Yeah, that is true. When I write like my stories, I use Gherkins. But we use the Gherkins mostly in the for automation. Um, so like in our automation suites, we'll use Gherkin and everything like that. Um, Here's a question, Don. Answer it whenever you get a chance. But I remember when I was looking at Cucumber, I was reading a book about BDD like back in 2017, and with Cucumber, you would be able to generate the it's like it generates the methods that the actual development code should go in. Do you actually like do you use that, or like I don't know? I'm just curious because that, from my understanding, that was the intention of BDD and Cucumber, so that the code could look similar to the documentation. But I don't know if that actually works well or anything like that. So let me know. And then Manny, thank you for having my back.
I appreciate we you. The best.
All right. Appreciate it, Manny. Appreciate it. All right. All right. All right. Good guy. All right. Let's get to our next question. We have, let me move this one over here. All right. So I like this one. So this one says, all right, let's go.
Another one.
This one is a computer science grad looking for advice. Graduated fall 2022 with a computer science degree, and I haven't been able to land an entry level software engineering position yet. Considering QA slash SDET to get some kind of employment as finances are tight, but is the market as bad slash oversaturated for software engineers? How would I go about landing a role, preferably automation? So, interesting that you may ask. I don't know. From what I've seen, right? I think the market is more saturated with like manual QA and QA engineer roles. But then again, I don't look that deeply for software engineering. But the reason I would say that it is saturated with the QA side more is because one, it's quicker to learn the manual testing, and the code base that you need for like automation testing, it's a lot less than you need for full software engineering. So it's faster, right? And then what happens is now you have a bunch of people who are trying to get these software, these like QA jobs, right? So I would definitely say with you having your computer science degree, it does actually help you because most jobs are going to ask for, most jobs are going to be asking for like a computer science degree, right? And that is one thing that the boot camps don't offer. But so there's a conflict, right? The conflict is for QA jobs, they ask for a computer science degree, but computer science doesn't really teach you how to test. The boot camps, I will, to their credit, they do teach you how to test, right? And they do teach you like the fundamentals of QA, of like, I don't even like using manual testing. I just like to call it fundamental QA. Because if they try to they'll try to loop in like, and let me know what you guys think, but I don't think that, how like writing test cases, doing a test plan, all of that stuff, I don't consider that to be manual QA. I don't even consider, like, let's say you have to automate something, right? But you have to go through the flow manually first, right? And while you're going through the flow manually, you're still looking around, making sure things are working, because if something doesn't work, you have to report it, right? So, and you need to get that fixed in order for you to have a successful automation test, right? But, so to me, like, I don't see that as manual QA. I just see it as like fundamental QA, right? Like you're just doing the regular stuff, and then you should actually add automation to it so you can have a regression suite and all that type of stuff. And that goes for any type of testing, like that's API testing, UI testing, whatever the case may be, right? So that's why, like, when the talks about like manual and all of that, like it just seems off to me, right? And that's why the title of QA engineer, to me, it should encompass all of it, right? It should encompass like the parts that you manually, and it should encompass the parts that you automated. And for me, like, I'm going to say this for me, right? I don't know about for everybody else or companies or something like that, but for me, I see that QA engineering, it's whatever you need to do for to have successful testing and successful automation and successful releases, right? So, like I said before, someone might not consider working with Docker to be part of a QA role or QA engineer's role, right? They might not consider working with AWS or Azure, like where you're setting up instances or whatever Azure calls them, but like using the using the AWS term for like EC2 instances, right? But to me, I'm like, I need those things to actually facilitate my QA testing, right? So I'll pull in, set up a Selenium grid on Docker, or I'll set up I'll use AWS Device Farm to run tests, and I'm like, that to me, that's just QA engineering, right? Like it's just part of the process. To get what I want. Like I don't like to go and beg other people to get something set up for me, especially if I can do it myself. Um, so so yeah, that's, I don't know. There goes, I was rambling, but back to the point, right? I do think that, like, from what I see, but I also search for mostly like QA jobs. But from what I see, like the QA field is like very very saturated, and to the point that all these people who are graduating from boot camps, like, they're told that they're going to make $70,000 doing manual testing, or they're going to make $130,000 doing automated testing, and then they get to the field and they're like they can't find anything. Um, and then when they finally do find something, it's like half of what they were told that they were going to make. So yeah. Now the real question is, let's look in the accountability mirror. My question always is, how does your portfolio look? How does your resume look? Are you getting interviews? Are you getting calls? Are you just being like, no one's responding to you at all? Because the problem could be that it's not that the software engineering field is overly saturated. It could be that you don't have a good portfolio to show. You don't have anything to show. It could be that you don't have a good resume. And if you don't have a good resume, you can holler at your boy, moi, Tech Coach Ralph, and I can give your resume a look, and I can give it some feedback and get that cleaned up for you, right? It could be that. It could be that you don't know how to talk to people. Maybe you don't sell yourself well. What are you doing? What are you doing while looking? Are you developing your skills? What type of engineering are you trying to do, right? Are you trying to be like a full stack developer? Are you for on the front end side? Are you trying to be a backend developer? Are you trying to use Java? Are you trying to use C Sharp? What is it that you're trying to do? All those things matter, because just by saying that, is it overly saturated? It might not be overly saturated. It might just be that you don't qualify yet. And the reason that you don't qualify is because you do not have the proper, I won't say skills necessarily, although that could be it, but you don't market your skills properly. And I think that's the biggest problem that people have, is they don't know how to sell themselves. Everything you do, you're a business man, right? Or woman, right? But you're a business, and you need to be able to sell yourself. You need to market yourself. You need to, like, by like the first thing, like the first paragraph that they read on your resume, like your summary, your highlight, your overview, whatever you call your objective, you have to have them say, wow. If they don't say wow, you're like 50% out the door, right? Have them say, wow, I want to learn more. And then they scroll down to your skills. They're like, oh, okay, these skills look pretty good. And now once you get down to like your professional history, that is where you make or break it. That's where he's going to call, okay, I'm going to put them on my list to call, or I'm going to call them right now because I can't forget about this person, right? And that's where you show the value that you bring to your previous companies. Although you just graduated, so maybe you don't have previous companies, but why did you not have an internship? A lot of people have internships. Coming out of college, did you have an internship? So, anyways, that's what I would expect from a recent college graduate, who they should have an internship. Like, I know at my company, we're huge on internships. So, and I know a lot of companies, like they pride themselves in having internships. So yeah, that's what I think about it. So let's see what the chat thinks about that question. Let me see what question number I'm on. Let me see. We are on Sheesh, we're only three deep. All right, let's see what the chat says. So we'll come back to cucumber. I wish I could see something. Come back to that. All right. So we have I could care less that someone can invert a binary tree. There is a special mindset for good testers. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. I need a cheer for that one. All right. All right. So that says it makes you more valuable when you are multi-disciplined. Exactly. And that's why the people that I'm going to be working with, like, they are not going to be limited to just like one thing. They are going to be like able to go between different type of they're going to have like different skills, right? Not only like the interpersonal communication skills and how to like work within the team and all that good stuff, but you know, they're going to know different languages. They're going to know how to actually write code and you know, be full, like understand the front end and, you know, learn web development. They're going to understand the back end and API testing and you know, maybe how to create APIs, right? So it's like building like Navy SEALs, right? Who can pretty much do everything. And let's see. Manny says, I was about to say they should work on a project and add it to their resume. Very important. What and how did they add value to a team or an organization, and how did they save money? 100%. 100%. And to add to that, right? Like when you're in college, you also work on projects, like as a team and stuff like that. So you're able, like, use that to highlight like your, like how you work in teams, and you just have to put like you have to put things of that shows that you care. Because also when reading the resume, like it's also, you have to also show like your passion and how much you care for it. It's not like, oh, I have these skills and give me a job. Nowadays, culture is becoming a lot more important in the hiring process, and it's not just what you know, but how you work within the team, how you share your knowledge, right? Because especially with the saturation of the market, now companies can be more picky about who they choose. All right, great, Manny, I love it. And it takes time coming out of college. It took me a little bit of time. Have to sell your skills and be aggressive and have a objective for your resume. Yeah, like I would say, especially if you're young, the objective is like you need, like it's better to have because you don't really have a summary, right? So you have an objective and you say, okay, this is what I'm looking to do. But what I always say is, in the objective, you have to say the value that you're looking to add, right? You say what you're looking to do, right? But you also say, this is the value that I'm looking to add, especially if you're coming into it, your first job. But you say, I want to add this value. I want to learn from the people here. I want to contribute. I want to add this value to the team. You know, whatever that value may be, right? You know, so that is that. Great comment, Manny. Love it. All right. Why is that halfway? That's weird. Okay, there we go. Man says, boom, intern and find a mentor who is in the career field. And we got VL in the house. Welcome, VL. What's up? Thank you for being here. You get one of these.
I appreciate you.
And one of these.
We the best.
All right. Let's see. Where are we at? All right. Okay. So let's pull up another question. This is so much more fun when we're doing it together. All right. So we got. All right. So sometimes these get a bit repetitive. You guys ever notice, like, it's always like the same variation of the question, but what they ask.
Another one.
they will get answered. It says, how can I upgrade my skills in manual testing? I currently work as a manual tester. My work involves testing web pages and using test rails, write test cases. I'm just fearful of the market, and everyone is saying manual testing jobs will be going away. How can I upgrade my skill set? I graduated from a coding bootcamp, but couldn't find an entry level job. I thought I just said that. Anyways, so decided for this manual. All right, so decided for this manual testing job. It helps me pay bills. Also, I get to play along with HTML and CSS as I test web pages. What should be the next steps? How can I start my career in automation? I think this one is going to be fairly quick one, right? But we'll put our 5 minutes up on the clock. And so I think I get this question. Like I find a variation of this question like every week or every other week. Okay, so is manual testing going away? Manual testing will never go away, but manual testers quite possibly. Sorry. Sorry about that, right? What do I mean by manual testing will not go away, but manual testers will? Because if you have QA engineers who can streamline the manual testing process, right? They still manual test, they still test manually, but if they can streamline the process, right? They streamline the process, then which by streamlining it, they automate the test, right? They automate API tests, all that type of stuff. So you don't have to go in Postman and create some automated thing in Postman and then have to use Newman to run it. And it's like when I saw that, I was like, oh, why do you guys do it that way? Like you could just put it in Python, or at this time I didn't know Python. But now that I do, I'm like, you could do it in Python, you could do it in Java, create your use rest assured or use the request library, whatever the case may be, right? But you could just do that. Instead of like doing some crazy setup. But if the manual QA testers do not want to increase their skills, just like if anybody doesn't want to increase their skill, right? So do you think that a software engineer who, when they started coding, right, they used they started like, well, not when they started coding, but like when they were using Java, right? They were using like Java 1.4 or whatever version that would have been. And they're like, you know what? Java 20 is out, but I refuse to upgrade my knowledge to using lambdas and all that good stuff that comes in the newer versions of Java. I'm just going to keep using it the way that Java 1.4 works. Do you think that they will keep their position much? Do you think they're going to find another job? Right? That is my answer about manual testing. You need to evolve, right? We're like, the industry's not going to wait for you. And you don't want me to come around your company, because if I do and they see what I am able to do, then they'll be like, oh, let me get rid of like 3 or 4 manual testers and we'll bring you on, and you can like, we save money, we become more efficient, we become more accurate, right? Trust me, I'm not going to come around your company. Don't fear. I'm just saying that is what can happen. Like if Don comes around your company, right? He might take the salary of 5 people, maybe more. Don't bring Manny around your company. See? Don't bring good guy. Right? So if you just want to stay in the same spot, then somebody's going to come and eat you. No, they'll call you Jonah. So, but that's the point, right? Like you have to evolve. So now, manual testing is still there. The manual testers, not so much, right? Now, the next thing you ask, how can you start learning automation? I think it's fairly easy. because especially if you're working as a because a lot of people who aren't even working as QA testers, they're still going on their own and learning automation. I'm working with someone right now who she's a beast, right? Working on an opportunity, but she's a beast. And you don't want her to take your job, right? I mean, I wouldn't mind, but you don't want her to take your job. So the point is, if you're working for the company, pull up this site and start automating. Go get you a Udemy course. They're on sale right now to the 31st. Although I should not be advertising because I still do not have my affiliate link. So I take that back. There is not a sale going on right now on Udemy, which is as low as $9.99. All right. But like I'm saying, get the course, follow along, do it based on your company's website. Or if you test APIs, do it based on your company's APIs, right? Get a course, start working. Stop talking, start working. That is the motto for tonight. Stop talking, start working, all right? Simple as that. Simple as that. Let's see before we move on. Anybody who wants to chime into this? Manny says, yeah, you have to keep learning as much as you can. I went from soldering with components to doing cyber. Shout out to that. We are winning over here. And then Don adds in, I once wrote a tool that would collect production behavior. That would collect production behavior, collected it, and converted it into an automation script. The higher ups loved it, but I was hated. Who hated you, Don? Who hated you? I want to know who hated you. But so let me get this straight, right? You're saying that you were able to capture what was happening on in production, convert that into an automated script, and run that like in a test environment to try to replicate some of the things that were happening. Because if that's what you're saying, that is amazing.
They ain't believing us. We the best.
Did they really? Did they really? That is cool. Now you got me thinking. I'm going to gonna think about that. We'll probably talk about that because that would be pretty cool to do. Because like honestly, like just to you ever notice how like you'll have all these type of scenarios and stuff like that, and like you'll validate them and everything, but then once the actual users start to use it, and they have like the weirdest input data that you're like, oh, we would have never thought this would be possible. But then like now you find like little issues here and there that you need to fix, right? So that's pretty cool. Like we were able to see the customer data in production. So like if something happens, we're able to take that data and put it into like a test environment and like try to see what we need to fix. But that is pretty cool. That is very cool. And he said that was for the Unity game engine. Awesome. Very cool. That's super cool. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So let's move on to our next question. Let's see. I think we have a theme tonight. All right. Let's get into it.
Another one.
This one says, I'm worried about QA career in the long term. I'm working as a software quality assurance automation engineer in SQAAE right now, but I'm worried if this really is a long-term viable career. I just haven't heard many people make it a career. It seems like when I look up jobs like SDET, SET, SQ. He actually used SQAAE. There's no. I've never seen that acronym of SQAAE. Anyways, are a lot rarer than software engineers. Yes, we are an elite group of individuals of extraordinary gentlemen and gentlewomen.
We the best.
Also, it seems like only some companies even bother having a QA department. Thoughts? All right, I'll put my 5 minutes on the clock. Why not? Similar to the other question, well, I'll say this. I've been in QA for the past 15 years. I've been doing automation testing for the past 12-ish, 12 to 13 years. I've been doing automation, and then specifically in Java for like the past 8 to 9 years, and now in Python for the past 6 months now, exactly 6 months. But I had learned Python last year, and it's funny when I got to the section of the course for Selenium with Python, I really didn't want to do it because I'm like, I do this every day, and I don't need to. I'm just learning for Python for a different reason, and I'm not going to do the Selenium section. And now I use it every single day, right? Well, not every single day because I think I do more on the API testing side, and so yeah. Which reminds me, Don and Manny, if you check out if you ever look into like HLS streaming, right? Or like video streaming, right? They use the manifest file, right? And I found just talking to a developer about like parsing through stuff. And I looked it up, like, okay, how to parse M3U8 files. And I found this library in Python, and it like now I implemented into our testing framework, and it's like doing wonders. So much extra validation that we're able to do. So just wanted to share that. I think it's a very cool library that if you're into like the video streaming type stuff, that could help a lot, right? But that goes to the point of what this person's saying. Like, is QA, is like, especially this part of QA, right? If it's a viable career, I see people last in this field. Like, the people who do this type of work, like the QA engineering and SDET and stuff like that, they choose when they transition out, and they choose if they want to transition back, right? They're software testing fluid. Right? They can go and do DevOps if they want. They can actually do like product management if they want. They can do software engineering if they want. They can stick to the software testing side, and it's really up to them, right? So like I don't see where the and then the career path line, right? You can go like, so the way that we have it structured, at least we go from like QA specialist, and then from QA1 to like QA3, and then we have our senior QA, we have our lead QAs, we have our staff QAs, and we have our principal QAs, right? A long path line, and that's from the individual side, but then they have like the manager, senior manager, directors, and all that good stuff, right? So I think that the impression is incorrect, right? I think that the impression is incorrect that it's you're worried that it's not viable. It's as viable as you are good in what you do, right? I think a lot of people fear that it's not viable, like certain careers are not viable and stuff like that, because they just don't put effort into it. Right? If you put effort into it, then people will see your value, and because things need to be validated, things need to be tested. So it just depends on you, like how much effort that you put into your craft, right? Own your craft. One of the books that I should reserve this, but I'm going to share it because I have my friends in the chat tonight, and they probably know this already. But because my friends are here and I'm not alone, I'm going to share it for all of you guys out there who are rocking with me and my friends, right? I like this book. I love this book from Robert C. Martin called The Clean Coder, right? Which he has a book, he has a clean code series, right? He has a book called Clean Code where it talks about the code and everything like that. But I like the Clean Coder because it talks about professionalism in the industry and owning your craft, having exquisite principles in when it comes to estimating, when it comes to your code quality, all of that good stuff, right? So very good book. And he also has a video on YouTube, which shouldn't be sharing this either, but thank God that my friends are here. I am feeling very, very generous tonight. He has a video on YouTube about software craftsmanship, right? And that is going to be one of the first, maybe second, homework items that I give my elite group of individuals who are going to be my future clones. All right. So, I already shared too much with you, but we must move on. I hope that helped settle your fears, your worriedness, your frustrations. And that's why Tech Coach Ralph is here for you. All right, let's see what else we got. So, Don says, what really matters is what the users do. I collected timing between clicks. So like what they're doing in between their clicks. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. That is very interesting. Manny says, thanks for the M3U8 and that QA will always be around. Don says, I was put on loan to a research and development group for special projects. I was test scenarios to answer a lot of unknowns for the business. Yeah. Like, I mean, people have no idea how much of a user advocate that the QA team is, because I would like the way that I describe QA, right? We are like, not like we're not only that we are a good bridge between like we understand the technical side of the code and the software and everything like that. We can have a good conversation, or we should be. If you can't do this, then you need to level up your QA skills, right? But I can have a very fluid conversation with my developers, and I understand what they're talking about, and I'm not afraid to ask them questions and things like that. But at the same time, I can have a good conversation with the Scrum Master, with the product owner, where I can break down the technical stuff that they might not be too familiar with, right? And then so it's like very like you're like the in between there, right? And then we also have to have our lens of the user perspective, like what's going to be a good user experience from how from us using the software. That user experience, like we're not just like rubber stamping whatever they say in the acceptance criteria. We have to also contribute to the acceptance criteria that says like, so if they say, oh, this button should be here, right? You should be comfortable enough to speak up saying, oh, I don't think this is a good idea because of A, B, C, and D. You need to be able to articulate yourself on why, instead of just saying, oh, well, I validated the acceptance criteria. I'm just being closed-minded. I'm just going to rubber stamp it because, hey, it works like the acceptance criteria said. No, in the past, I'm like, I don't think this is a good idea. Right? I was like, I don't think this is a good idea because like this is the like the customers. This might impact them that way. If you put it here, I am part of the team. I'm not an afterthought. I am part of the team, and once you have that understanding, you will see the value that you bring to the team, and the team will value you back, and you won't feel unappreciated and disrespected. All right. Let's see what else we got. A lot of bugs get exposed based on timing. Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. And tool alert. K6 performance browser, straight fire. Let me make a note of that to try it out. Performance browser. Huh. That's interesting. I gotta see how that is. Like, does it make it run faster? Does it do performance testing? I don't know. We'll see. Talking about performance, on Thursday's live stream, we're going to be doing a little bit of non-functional testing, but we're going to be doing it through load testing. I'm going to be whipping out is that JMeter to get like I've used it like once or twice before. I never was really responsible for load testing, but we will do it together, configure it. However, what I really, really, really want to use is like Locust or Gatling to like actually code the load test. I think that'll be very, very fun. All right. So, anyways, enough of that. Where are we now? I want this question. So, K6 performance browser is load testing developed by the company that designed Grafana. Gotta look up Grafana too now. Learning so much from Don. All right. Let me see what question. Let me see what the next. Let me see. Let's do this question first because I'm tired of QA questions for now. So let's go.
Another one.
Is it a bad time to start looking for new jobs? Why are you telling where you work at? I've been at this company for 1 year and I'm not liking how much I'm making. I would like to stay till year 2 because I've heard that the job market is pretty bad right now. Is this true? Well, there is a very low unemployment rate. But the question is, what is it that you do? If you are like a cashier at Walmart or no, you say you work at Optum. What do you do at Optum? Do you like answer phone calls? Which Optum are you talking about as well? Oh shoot. Darn it. I read your company. Oh well, no one knows who you are, so that's okay. But you don't like how much you're making. What is it that you're doing, right? Because the way that pay works, in case you weren't aware, the more people that can do your job, the less you're going to make, right? That's the simplest equation for jobs, right? For how much you get paid. The more people can do it, the less you make. That's saturation, right? That is that's the market, right? Supply and demand. If everybody for instance, when there were like tons and tons of houses for sale and houses were selling for really cheap, now there aren't tons and tons of houses for sale. Everybody wants the same house. That's why they are super expensive now. So it just depends. What are your skills? You don't like your pay. Well, if you don't like your pay, maybe you need to up your skills so that you can get a job that is going to pay you what you want to make, right? In addition to that, is it a bad time to start looking for new jobs? I would say yes, but the caveat is it depends on what you do. For instance, I know somebody who was laid off like 2 weeks ago, and when I reached out to him within the same week, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm already. I have like 4 interviews lined up." But he also is elite. He is rare, and the skills that he has, like, not many people can match it, right? Not many people can match it. So that way, when somebody becomes available and they're like, the company's like, "Oh, that's what I was looking for that I cannot find," they will pay you what you want. And they will scoop you up very, very quickly. Like, to transition from a job within like 2 weeks after being laid off, that is like you're doing good. So yeah, so it just depends on what you do. Drink. Sorry about that. Throat was getting a little dry, but yeah. So it's not like you can start looking, but I'll tell you this: don't quit your current job until you have a new job. You might think, oh, if I quit my current job, then it's gonna put a fire under me to go and find a new job, blah blah blah, right? But the problem is, it doesn't put a fire under the employers. It only puts a fire under you to apply for thousands of jobs, but doesn't put a fire under the employer to hire you. Because with a low unemployment rate, people have jobs, companies aren't really looking. And if you are in the tech industry, there are layoffs that are happening, but although I don't think it's as massive as they make it out to be. Maybe the major companies are laying off people. But now the problem with the major companies laying off people is now those employees from those ex-major companies are going to be taking those jobs that are available. So I would say do not quit your job until you have another one. You should always be looking for a new job, especially if you are not happy where you are, right? See, me, I look for jobs for you guys. I love the company that I work for. I love what I'm doing. So I am not looking to go anywhere, but I still look to see what is out there and maybe make recommendations to my friends and close confidants who want to get a job or go somewhere else. All right. But definitely be looking, apply. If you want to get out, start applying now. You don't wait, because maybe somebody will contact you and you will have the opportunity to land a new position, and you don't have to stay till 2 years. All right. The job market is pretty bad right now for the most part. Yes, I see people complaining about it all the time, but if you got it, you got it, right? Like, some people are highly marketable. Some people know how to market themselves. Like I told you the other day, with all the people who sent me their resume, the best resume I saw was from somebody who's not even in QA, who's looking to transition in QA, because they were in marketing and they know how to share their value that they bring. And so that was very impressive to me. In marketing for 20 years, and they had the resume that I would, if I was reviewing resumes to hire somebody, that's who I would want to talk to and find out more about them. So get your marketing game up. All right. Don't listen to these bad advice that these boot camps are giving you about how to set up your resume and just make it like super technical and boring and stuff that, like, that whoever's reading it will be like, this is the same cookie cutter resume. And I must say, the resumes that I have been seeing from these boot camps are very cookie cutter, bad advice, stuff that do not work to your benefit. All right. So get the knowledge of how to do the work from these places, but get your resume reviewed by me or somebody who is, or maybe like somebody who does interviews every day, and they can meet up with them, get some guidance to know what they're looking for on these resumes, and that'll help you go a long way, and you don't have to be miserable and have to say,
I hate it here. I want to go home.
it happens. All right. So that is that question. All right. Oh, there goes that. So let's see. Before we go to the next one, let's see here. Manny says, my college professor told my class a long time ago, you get paid for what you know. And it's true. Yes, very true. You pay for what you can do. You get paid more for what you can do that somebody else can't. The less other people can do what you do, the more you're going to get paid for it, because other people will want you. It's like when you think about like a surgeon, right? Surgeons make generally more money than like a general doctor, right? And then if you look some more, right, a brain surgeon will get paid more than a regular surgeon. An ER surgeon will probably get paid more than like a regular surgeon, because the level of precision, the level of knowledge is something that the other ones do not have, right? So that's how value works, right? So anyways, Great comment, Manny. And Good Guy says, that scared me. I thought it was my coworker. You thought he was telling on you, Manny? You thought he was about to rat you out, Good Guy? No, I wouldn't. I would delete his question if that was the case. I got your back. I got your back. Don says, it puts a fire under you because you can no longer pay for That's a good one. You can no longer pay for heat anymore. All right. Too much fun tonight. Too much fun. Let's behave. All right. So now we are at. Let's see. Ooh. All right. I'm gonna go back to that other question, and then we're gonna get to the last question. All right. So these seem to follow quite a theme, of course, but let's do it.
Another one.
What's more interesting, fun, and future-proof? Manual QA or test automation? I don't want to insult anyone, and I say this with the utmost respect. It's like when they say with all due respect, and then or respectfully, and then they totally like, all right, anyways. At the moment, I work as a tester / QA, and sometimes really have this feeling of unfulfilled potential by staying at the manual side and not going into automation and more technical stuff. Sometimes I'm just staring at a spreadsheet while writing basic test cases and thinking by myself, what am I doing? Why am I here? I'm someone who tries to do things as good as possible. You see, that's the problem right there, right? You try to do it as good as possible and not as great as possible. See, you gotta shift your mindset, right? But I feel that in manual QA, this can go unnoticed most of the time. If the devs did it very well, then it feels like it doesn't matter whether I write and execute a crappy test script or a very good one. Is automation more interesting, fun, challenging, rewarding, and future-proof? What is future-proof, eh? Which one will give me the most universal chance to work abroad? Oh, here we go. So all of this that you were writing was just so you want to travel to Dubai or something and work from like there. You don't really care about everything else you said before. You just want to travel. Okay, got it. Cool. We can answer that. Don't worry about it. Let's put the timer up. So, and after this one, we have one more to go. So, let's see. I think. By the way, are you related to the first question or the second question? Who felt that you get no respect and everything like that? I don't think you'd be a good automation tester if you don't, because to me, a great automation tester comes from being a great creative, critical thinking, fundamental QA tester, right? You have all the fundamentals down about like different types of testing, writing your test cases, writing your scenarios, having great test cases, not like I don't know why you're using a spreadsheet at this point, but that's neither here nor there. But you don't sound like you like what you're doing, right? And you're just doing it because hopefully one day it'll take you to France or Paris or something like that. Um, but you have this, and you know what? I'm gonna say this right. Here's a problem I have with a lot of these manual testers, right? They're always talking about that they want to learn automation and stuff like that. Every time I've wanted to learn something, I just started. Um, I didn't necessarily I didn't necessarily read it in a book or anything like that. I researched and I worked and I calculated and I just kept at it. Right. I remember being up back in like a long time ago. I would be up till like 4 in the morning trying to figure out some type of code, messing with JavaScript, messing with PHP to get it to work in a particular way that I was looking for. And it's like now it's why are we why are we waiting for someone to come to us and say, "Hey, do you want to try this?" If you want to do it, then just do it. Like, is it like your company's going to say, "Oh, you're not allowed to do that"? Oh, but you're working as a manual tester and you don't have time to learn automation because like it takes up your whole day, huh? Yeah, right. It takes up your whole day that you don't have the time to do it. Well, w- what do you like? There's 24 hours in a day, right? 7 days in a week. If you really want to grow, you're going to put in some of your own time. In the book, The Clean Coder, the author says you should be putting in at least 60 hours a week on your craft. So let's say 40 hours to your 40 to 50 hours, whatever it is to your company, but another 20 to 30 hours of you on your own time studying, practicing, working on projects to get better yourself, right? I believe I don't believe it is your company's job or duty to give you the like to give you the basics. They should train you for the particulars of the company, but they don't have to train you. You should if you want to grow, you should take initiative on your own career. And like most companies, they go way above and beyond to support you and everything like that. But you shouldn't be waiting for them to make you any offer for you to grow, right? You should be taking initiative, and then they'll see that, and then they're going to help you along the way. But if you're just sitting there saying, "Oh, I don't have time," and all this type of stuff, then like you deserve to be where you are, right? So yeah, let me see if there's anything else you asked in this question. So the part about if the devs do a good job, then it doesn't matter if you write a crappy test script or a good one. I think that that lack of care for your own craft is it's what is going to prevent you from being in automation, like being like writing automation, right? You don't write good scripts or bad scripts for the developers. You write it for yourself. You write it for your documentation. You write it for people who come after you that looks at it to see what's going on, right? And I think the whole mindset, like behind so many of these posts, right, is oh, I don't get any recognition. Oh, unappreciated. Blah 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 blah. The goal when working in a team, right? And I asked this question last week, right? And it was decent answers, but not the that final one, right? It was what is the goal of the goal of the QA tester, the goal of the software engineer, the goal of the software development team, right? And I got some answers like, oh, releasing bug-free software, um, all this type of stuff, right? But for me, in my perspective is a good user experience, customer satisfaction. That is the goal. The purpose of QA is not to find bugs, right? The purpose of QA is to provide a good user experience, a good user flow, like all that stuff. It's all around the customer, all around the user, right? So if the devs do a good job, you know what I said? I said, great job. I test it. I make sure my tests are good, and I test it. And if I don't find any bugs, then good. We get to go to market faster. Why do we expect? Why do we want to find bugs? I think that was a misconception from a long time ago with manual testing, from like the waterfall or the V model, where they throw the thing over the wall. They throw the software over the wall, and then you just hack at it, test, and like, oh, I found like 20 bugs in the software, and we all get to celebrate, and we get $5 for each bug that we find, and everything like that, right? I don't believe in that. I want to not find any bugs. I want to say, oh, all my tests and stuff like that. I didn't find any bugs. You did a great job, and let's deploy. I want to get to market as fast as we can, but in the best quality possible, so that we start making money. Because at the end of the day, the customers are who's paying my salary. The customers pay the company, and the company pays me. The company's the middleman, but we're all working for the customer. So the faster I can get the software into the customer's hand, and they have a great user experience, happy customers equals happy company equals happy tech coach Ralph, right? Is automation more interesting, fun, challenging, rewarding, future-proof? The answer to that is yes, it is. But the question is, do you qualify to do automation? Because from the previous post, with the utmost respect, you do not care about your manual testing job, and therefore I have a hard time seeing you caring for very long as an automation QA engineer. All right. And which one of these give me the most universal chance to work abroad? If you have a passport, people do manual testing remotely. People do automation testing remotely. The more junior you are, they probably want you in the office. But the question is, do those remote countries want you? Anyways, that is that. All right, let's see what we have in the chat. All right, so Don says, this person assumes that devs even test their, tell me about it. Well, I know my devs test their work because we are very testing centric, and and yeah, they test their work. But I've seen plenty of devs who say, why do we need to test if we have QA, right? It doesn't work that way. Sometimes they look through a very small lens and only verify the code they wrote. A small code change can blow up large segments of the application. 100% true. And that's why unit tests are essential to have. And I always advocate for having a robust suite of unit tests. Let's see. And yeah, I work with some developers who they would refuse to test their stuff. Like there would be a bug on the homepage. Like let's say whatever, like you click on a link and some React error, you just get a blank page, right? So now they fix that. You get to the next, so you're able to get to the next page, right? You click on the link, you get to the next page. The very next thing that you do, back to a blank page. I'm like, all right, come on, guys, come on, let's be better, all right? And it says, yep, I want to learn X. If you have not already attempted to do it, don't. It ain't for you. Don is hilarious. Don says, my GitHub ID filled with a scratch pad of everything I have been learning. Some of that code is awful. And some of the code, I was like, wow, I'm pretty awesome. Don, you are not only pretty awesome, you are super awesome. I must say, I am so happy to have you here with me in the chat. And Don says, is gaming industry, I think bug count was a metric that they found valuable. That may be why some QAs do this. Yeah, I agree, but I've seen it as like QAs like take pride in QAs take pride in like find like it's like I've seen posts like where they're like, how can I catch more bugs? Like my goal isn't to catch more bugs. Like when I do find a bug, I'm like, oh crap, now we're adding time to maybe it's because I've been doing it for so long, right? Um but I'm like, oh crap, like we wanted to deploy, but now we have to like add an additional day because we have to fix it and stuff like that. Um, I don't know. And good guy says job security. For which one? For like catching a bunch of bugs or like for bug hunting or I don't know. Because like I try see and here's the thing is, right? The way that I work, I I work with the developers very early on so that they can have an idea of what I'm going to be testing and I can put in their mind. So like now when they're developing, they have these things in mind, right? So we can not so we can reduce our chances of finding bugs, right? And by that, to me, the ultimate victory is being able to like go to market like a lot faster. So if I was to wait for them to just hand it off to me all the way at the end, and then I find like 5 bugs and it takes like 3 to 4 days to resolve them all, right? Then I'm not then like now we're wasting time, we're wasting money, we're wasting resources. When if we do the work in advance and now everything works, right? We go to market sooner and then we go and have a pizza afterwards, right? I don't really like eating pizza. Well, no, I do like pizza, but I shouldn't be eating pizza. But that's the point, right? We get things done and we are able to move on to our next story and we're able to just keep on winning, keep on building upon that, all right? And Tyru, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the show. Can QA work as freelance contractors or are they always connected to one company? No, I mean they do have like they have QAs as contractors. So you could contract for a company. Like let's say you work through an agency or something like that. You can definitely like you can work for. You're not required to be locked into one company if you're working freelance. Like if you look at like some of those Upworks and Fivers and stuff like that, they'll have some QA positions, like for some freelance positions that you can do. And then there's like also companies who are like staffing companies that will staff QA people for different positions. So no, you can definitely you're not tied to any particular company. Some companies though they will have like if you work for us, then you can't work for another company as part of their terms and conditions and stuff like that. But yeah, so it's yeah, you can definitely do it. No problems there. And the guy says dev skipping on testing or perform unit testing. That yeah. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that. But at the same time, like I think that with I think that's like you're right, but I think that's like a cheap form of job security. Like I mean, I'll take it, right? But I just to me, my ultimate desire is to like build amazing software. I don't like I hate when we want to deploy a particular day and then we can't do it because we found a bug at the last minute. I mean, I'm happy we found the bug altogether, but I just like to get to market. Like for me, the ultimate victory is getting to market, right? Um, and I think with that victory in the way that you work and stuff like that, it is like that is where the real job security lies, where because that value that you bring, um, and it's not through like devs not doing their full job and stuff like that. That they can really see your true value that you bring to the team, to the organization, because you are making sure things are running smooth. You're putting processes in place and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, you're definitely right. You know, you're definitely right. But I just like to get that security from a different fashion. You know, and I think like I think that the more seasoned that you become in the field, the more seasoned that you become in the field, the you're gonna start to evolve your thinking on like you don't get excited when you find out like, oh damn, I found a bug. Now we have to address it and all that type of stuff, right? So and I think as well too, the more seasoned the developers that you work with become, the different, like they start to approach things differently and they have a different perspective and stuff like that. Because I'll say the senior developers that I've worked with are very different than some of the more junior developers that I used to work with. So that's that. All right, we are finally ready for our last question. All right. This one says, all right, let's go.
Another one.
Would you rather make $55,000 with great culture or $80,000 with toxic culture? Oh, that is very interesting. This one says, I have a friend who's the same age as me, both of us being 25 years old. While I earn $55,000 and my friend earns $80,000, the difference in income isn't the only factor at play here. My friend often talks about the excessive micromanagement and the challenges they face at their workplace. These difficulties sometimes even affect their sleep, and they find their Sundays quite stressful. On the contrary, I've been at my new job for about 3 to 4 months. I left a toxic work environment where I was making 48K. Excuse me. And I understand how detrimental that can be. Thankfully, my current situation is much better, both in terms of pay at $55,000 and the overall work environment. The company is small, but offers incredible benefits. What stands out is the absence of micromanagement, constant appreciation, and ample downtime. Given the circumstances, my query to all of you is, would you prefer a job paying $80K or more, even if it comes with a toxic atmosphere, or a job offering $55K with a fantastic environment and a positive culture? Ooh, that is interesting. Good night, Manny. Thanks for being here. It was wonderful, and I will talk to you next time. All right, so let's get to this one. Would I prefer, and let me know what you guys think too. All right, you know what? Let me do this. Let's do this. Give me one quick second. Which check? Now we're gonna say 80K with toxic job. All right, so let's start a poll. Right, I am curious to see what you guys think. But what would I take? I will take toxicity on aisle 20, please. So, number one, give me the money. Number two, I don't really care about all that. Like, so for me, with micromanagement and stuff like that, you can micromanage me. I don't care. I'm gonna like do my work the way that it should be done, anyways, right? And I've, if you know what, like the things that I've done, where I've been, and everything like that, I don't know if there's actually an environment that is toxic enough for me that I can't handle. Um, it is I don't like I can go into chaotic situations and I can put it in a process for it, make it smooth and stuff like that. Being that you are very new to the field, I can understand why you could have that mindset and why your friends could be complaining about their jobs where they make 25K more than you or more. I want the 25K to be honest with you. I don't care about being friendly and stuff like that. I mean, I'm cordial and stuff like that, but number one, I want my money, right? I want my money, please.
Money.
Thank you for your patronage.
Yep. I want that, and I'm gonna work, right? I'm gonna do what I have to do, and I'm not going to be stressed or frustrated about it. I'm gonna use that as an opportunity because here's the thing, right? I want to go up in money. I don't want to be stuck at a lower level, and I don't go up because I'm like my feelings are hurt and stuff like that, or I'm stressed or something. I want the money, right? And then from there, once I get to that and I put in my time and I put my effort, I learn what I have to learn, and then I'm going to jump up to the next thing. And maybe I'll leave that toxic environment and I'll go to another pleasant environment, but maybe at 100K, which is now 45K more than you'd be making now because you were afraid of a toxic environment. Nope, give me the toxicity. I'll take that on out 20 with a side of stress and a side of drama and a side of bad management. So I don't mind. And I've been there, done that, and I can do it. And in addition, you also have to do the things that suck, right? And challenge yourself early so you can build strength for the future. It's like, should I go to the gym? Should I work out because I get sore on my first week going? No, like you go and you work out and you callous your body and callous your mind. You do the things that suck. So when you go to work, you can sleep on Sunday and not be stressed and, take it in stride. So that is my thought behind that. Like I said before, give me the money.
Money.
Yep. I'll deal with the other stuff later, but give me the money and I will just find a way to buy my happiness.
Thank you for your patronage.
Yep. That's how I see it. Anyways, that was that. I saved that one for last and we will move on from there. All right. So I think that is good for this week. Let me check the chat before we go. Don says, I define the people as toxic, but if the work is toxic, I am okay with that, and that can be solved. Cool. Well, my friends, my family, the people rocking with me in the chat, thank you so much for being here tonight. We are going to wrap it up. I appreciate you all for being here. And before we go, number one, if you haven't done so yet, I need to remember to say this more, but if you haven't done so yet, like the video. Subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, share it with somebody who'll find useful. Look out for the clips coming out during the week. Look out for the software explorations, concept and overviews coming out tomorrow, talking about non-functional testing. Very, very important. And we have our show Thursday night. We're going to be doing some load testing, and I might even pull up the browser that Don was talking about, K6 Performance Browser, because that sounds interesting. Maybe we'll just install it together on Thursday night. I have to make sure that they have it works on Mac, but definitely look that up, and we can incorporate that into our performance tests on Thursday night. And then look out for the Bug Bite episode dropping dropping on Friday about the 2005 major pandemic. Good guy, thank you for being here. I know I kind of bribed you into being here, but we will not talk about that on the stream. We will keep that in private, all right? But thank you, good guy, for being here, and I will talk to you later. And also, last thing, look out for the announcement coming out on Friday morning to see if maybe you would also like to be one of my clones, one of my savages, one of my barbarians. That will be coming out Friday morning. Look out for that. And on that note, my friends, one more. Thanks for the awesome show. Don, thank you so much for being here. It's, I like all the comments that you're putting in the videos. I haven't had a chance to respond to them yet, but those, like, I've skimmed through them and those are like gold. All right. So thank you so much for being here. You provided so much valuable insight tonight. Love having you here. All right. And we will talk again. But until next time, my friends, my family, my chat buddies, have a good night.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
Hear me, warriors of the North. Today we have tasted the sweet nectar of victory. Our foes indeed defeated, and their lands are now bowed before us. The gods themselves have favored our glorious deeds on this glorious day. We have shed blood, sweat, and tears to claim this land. Our relentless spirit, our unyielding determination, these are the very essence of our people. It's been our ancestors rejoice in the halls of Valhalla. For today, we have added to their eternal glory. Our victories will echo throughout the ages, and our names will be etched in the annals of history. But let us not forget the price we paid, the brothers and sisters we lost. They now feast in the hall of our forefathers, watching over us with pride. Their sacrifice has paved the way for this moment of triumph. As we celebrate this conquest, let us also remember that our journey is far from over. More land awaits our conquest, more battles upon us forth, and the fire in our hearts burn ever brighter, for there is no limit to what we can achieve. To those who dare stand against us, let them tremble in fear, for they shall witness the fury of the northern storm, the wrath of the untamed barbarians. Today we celebrate our victory. Tomorrow, we set our sights on new horizons, uncharted land where our banners will fly high. We are Vikings, we're barbarians, we are masters of conquest.
We the best. I appreciate you.